What was meant to be a respectful and powerful exchange with one of Hollywood's most admired actors quickly collapsed into live TV drama. Morgan Freeman, a living legend, stepped onto the stage with calm dignity, but by the time he left, the fallout was clear. The moment had been set for brilliance. Freeman arrived to share thoughts on his new Netflix documentary Life on Our Planet, and fans expected the wisdom of a lifetime. Instead, The View steered it in a completely different direction.
I'm one of those people who's very, very interested in this subject, life on the planet. You understand that today, life on the planet is in a little bit of trouble. And we're the cause of it.
That's right.
There have been, if I remember correctly, 6 extinction-level events on the planet since life began. I mean, 6 times. Large portions of life. Not human life we're talking just life. Gone, destroyed. We're headed for another one.
And it wasn't pretty. Instead of celebrating his legacy, the hosts dragged the conversation into shallow waters. Rather than focusing on Freeman's powerful message, they threw out careless remarks, fishing for controversy. From the very first question, something felt off. The tension was thick, and it seemed the hosts were waiting to attack instead of listen. Freeman, steady as ever, sensed it too. Joy Behar wasted no time, tossing in a question that felt more like a setup than genuine interest. Her voice was sharp, her tone heavy, yet Freeman stayed unshaken. She asked, "Did seeing the rise and fall of species change your perspective on life?" The wording made it clear she was pushing an agenda. Freeman's face didn't move, but his eyes spoke volumes. In that calm, signature voice, he replied, "It didn't change it, it enhanced it." The mood shifted instantly. He wasn't playing their game, not for a second. As he calmly mentioned driving an electric car and reflecting on the planet, Joy's smirk cracked into the familiar frown she wears when her narrative slips away. Then Sunny Hostin jumped in with her trademark bait and switch.
Well, it's tenacious if we would just leave it alone. Leave it alone. And the human interruption of all of that is what's causing all the problems. I hope that it's not too late. But let me ask you this, Jeff. Did seeing the rise and fall of all these species, because some are coming in too, right? And many are leaving the planet. Did that change your perspective on life?
My perspective on life? I don't think it changed my perspective. It just enhanced it. Because for a long time now, I've been listening to what they say about, I drive an electric car.
Instead of building on the thoughtful discussion, Sunny veered straight into race politics, blindsiding everyone. She asked, "Some politicians are trying to erase Black history. You're making sure people don't forget, right?" She referenced Freeman's documentary on the 761st Tank Battalion, but not to honor it. She wanted sparks. Freeman didn't bite. He stayed composed, answering with quiet strength, reminding everyone that Black history is American history. In that moment, her attempt to stir drama collapsed. Meanwhile, Whoopi just nodded along, adding almost nothing, letting the awkwardness hang in the air. Her silence spoke louder than words. The host suddenly looked lost, not just uneasy, but genuinely unsure how to handle Freeman's steady presence. He wasn't reacting the way they wanted, and it showed. Even when Freeman recalled how rare it was to see Black actors in his youth, and how painful it felt to be cast only as servants, the hosts looked more stunned than supportive. How could they not respond? Instead of giving him room to reflect, Joy forced a laugh and threw out awkward lines as if desperate to move on. It felt dismissive. And then came the most suspicious moment of all.
I want to ask you about a different documentary.
Go ahead.
As some politicians around the country try to erase Black history, you're making sure people don't forget vital parts of our past. Including this documentary that you executive produced called 761st. Did I get that right? Yeah, 761st Tank Battalion, the original Black Panthers. About the first Black battalion to fight in World War II.
First Black Armored Battalion.
Yes, and you served in the Air Force. I know that. This film was then very personal to you.
Oh, yes, heavens. Start in the 40s and move up. And how many times did I see Black people in the movies? And if I did see them, what were they doing?
There were servants. They were always. I know it's appalling.
I can give you the name.
If you watch old movies, Betty Davis movies are particularly, even though she's great, and
it's the period.
It's not her
time
fault.
that
It's
the
the
movies
period.
were made. Yeah.
It's upsetting to watch.
Doing.
Tell you the
Well,
truth.
it shouldn't be that way because somebody did make money.
Yeah.
The entire segment vanished from the View's official YouTube channel, raised as if it never happened. But the internet doesn't forget. Fans noticed instantly, flooding social media with one question: why delete it? The answer was obvious. Freeman had exposed them without ever raising his voice. His calm, intelligent replies dismantled their routine. He refused to act like a victim, refused to be dragged into outrage, and that left the hosts looking out of line. It wasn't just awkward, it was a collapse of control in real time. Whoopi, Joy, and Sonny had no clue how to recover or redirect. Freeman sat steady, commanding the spotlight with pure class. When the segment wrapped, Whoopi muttered something about running out of time. A weak excuse, and viewers weren't fooled. Everyone knew they wanted him off stage before he made them look even worse. But then came the twist. Clips of the interview popped up across independent platforms. Fans who had recorded the show uploaded it online, and suddenly the world saw exactly what The View tried to bury. Freeman's calm defiance went viral overnight. The message was unmistakable. Morgan Freeman wasn't just a guest, he was the only adult in the room. His quiet confidence clashed against the show's noisy, scattered energy, and the contrast was impossible to ignore. Viewers began calling it one of the most awkward interviews in daytime TV history. They weren't exaggerating. The hosts, normally loud and proud, looked outmatched by Freeman's poise and clarity. One viral comment summed it up. Morgan Freeman didn't say much, but he said everything. That's his power. He doesn't need to raise his voice to control the conversation.
That's the time. Now look at today. Things we're always in flux.
Yeah.
Always.
But we've always been here.
Yeah.
Fluxing out.
Flux. Exactly.
I had a question, but we run out of time. Listen, this is extraordinary, this documentary.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
This time, Freeman didn't just dominate, he exposed them. While he tried to discuss ancient extinctions, planetary cycles, and humanity's place in nature, the hosts chased cheap political points. They weren't after a real conversation. They wanted outrage, and he refused to deliver it. Joy kept tossing out smug comments, waiting for him to echo her alarmist views. Freeman wouldn't panic. He countered with facts, history, and calm reason, and that's what shook them most. When Sonny tried to spin the narrative toward victimhood, Freeman stood firm. He spoke proudly about the 761st Tank Battalion of World War II, but he wouldn't let her twist it into a soundbite. The silence after his words said it all. That was checkmate. Meanwhile, Whoopi sat unusually quiet. Her trademark fire was gone. She seemed to know things had gone off track, but she had no idea how to pull it back. And the hypocrisy didn't end there. While the hosts pushed panic over climate change, they ignored that Freeman's documentary focused on resilience and survival. They twisted the subject into fear, but Freeman kept bringing perspective. That's what truly unsettled them. He saw their tactics for what they were and refused the bait. Every answer made it harder for them to control the moment. By the time credits rolled, it was clear this wasn't the interview they wanted. It was the one they couldn't handle. Viewers saw it instantly. Social media lit up with reactions about how off balance the hosts looked next to Freeman's calm authority. Fans called it a masterclass in patience and poise. Many were stunned. The segment got only a few rushed minutes, while other guests get full episodes for gossip and fluff. It was disgraceful. They had Morgan Freeman in their studio and treated him like a side act.
I don't think there is an issue of race in Hollywood. Somewhere back there in the 70s, the decision was made by almost all and sundry that we have to start open casting. Now, if you look on television, you pretty much see the range of cultural, that's not the right word because we all belong to the same culture. We just, anyway, but you see everybody. And I think that Hollywood learned in the 70s, here's reality. Isaac Davis directed a movie called Cotton Comes to Harlem. It made hundreds of millions of dollars. And of course, Hollywood is colorblind. It only sees green.
This wasn't some rising influencer. This was the voice of the Shawshank Redemption, Driving Miss Daisy, and March of the Penguins, and they fumbled it. But Freeman wasn't finished. Soon after that chaotic appearance, he spoke at the Oxford Union, and that's where the real truth came out. Free of interruptions, he addressed race, history, and Hollywood's evolution. He said, "I don't think there is an issue of race in Hollywood." The room fell silent. He explained how open casting reshaped the industry in the 70s, stressing that what truly matters in Hollywood is green, not black or white. He wasn't denying racism's past. He was saying change has happened and it must be acknowledged. But that message didn't serve the View's outrage machine. The contrast was almost laughable. At Oxford, Freeman's message was powerful. On daytime TV, he was boxed in by hosts chasing headlines. The tragedy wasn't just a missed opportunity. It was the deliberate silencing of wisdom. Freeman came to share survival, history, and hope. Instead, he was dropped into a minefield of cheap politics and forced drama. They didn't just waste his time, they wasted the audience's too. Viewers tuned in expecting insight from a cultural icon. What they got was an ambush that backfired, and yet Freeman never cracked. He never raised his voice. He stayed calm, thoughtful, and unshaken, exposing the View more effectively than any rant could. That's the mark of true class. It doesn't scream to be heard. While the host stumbled, Freeman stood tall, reminding everyone why he's in a league of his own. At Oxford, he doubled down, not in anger, but in truth. He explained that Hollywood had changed. Progress isn't perfect, but the focus should be unity, not division. That wasn't the message the hosts wanted, but Freeman's refusal to play along became a quiet revolution. Articles later called the segment a train wreck, a disaster in disguise, a masterclass in missed opportunity, and people are still talking about it. Not because of the hosts, but because of what Freeman stood for. He reminded us that history matters, that dignity matters, that silence, when used with wisdom, can thunder louder than any scream. This wasn't just a failed interview. It was proof of what's broken in shows like The View: spectacle over substance, noise over nuance, headlines over honesty. Freeman flipped that script without effort. He gave viewers clarity in a storm of confusion. That's why people will never forget what happened. In the end, Freeman didn't just leave the studio with his head high. He walked out having completely reversed the game. His calm exposed everything, and now it's your turn. What did you think of that unforgettable segment? Did Freeman's quiet power shake the show to its core? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you believe in truth over noise, hit like, share, and subscribe. More is on the way, and we're only getting started.